And now, teaming up with his kid sister to uncover his mom's extramarital indiscretions, standing at a gangly 5'10" and prone to adorable outbursts, it's Victor Salazar! And heading up the B-plot, staying strong amidst a flurry of maternal abandonment issues, standing at a pert 5'3" in her chic and understated athleisure wear, it's Mia Brooks!
The Benji drama gets benched in episode 4 of Love, Victor, The Truth Hurts, in which Mia and Victor uncover some unpleasant news about each of their parents, and these parallel plotlines help lay the groundwork for contextualizing some of these characters' future choices. The writers make it clear that when it comes to these Creekwood kids and their parents, the ball doesn't fall far from the hoop. And I'm letting you know now, we're gonna do Victor's mom proud. When it comes to the basketball puns, we'll be going into overtime.
Episode 4 might be the least queer-specific chapter out of this season's 10-pack, but it's an essential component of the overarching story as it does careful work in unpacking how the values Victor learns at home might influence how he comes to navigate the other relationships in his life. The Salazars gear up for Victor's first basketball game of the season, and Anna Ortiz finds her groove in portraying Isabel as someone with a genuine and spirited love of family, but also someone who struggles to find fulfillment that's independent of her maternal duties. By this point, I buy her as a character and I want to know more about her. It's a good sign when Victor paints this quick flashback for us.
Back in Texas during regional semis, she got ejected from the game for excessive dancing.
And I believe it, and I can even visualize that scene unfolding in the Love, Victor prequel in our minds, all thanks to Ortiz's vivacious and disarming on-screen presence. I will say that despite her love of puns, Salazar is a Salastar is not her best pun.
Not my best pun, but it's getting hard for me to top myself.
Oh my god, she admitted it. Maybe next time she can try, you can't spell victory without Victor. Salazar, you ready to rumble? Swish, swish, Vic. Vic and roll. Bob's got balls. Oh, wrong universe.
Bob's got balls.
How come they call you that?
You know how I'm the equipment manager for the basketball team?
Yeah.
That's why there's not really like a story or anything behind it. It's just like, hey, I need balls. I'm like, I got it, balls.
Moving down this all-star lineup, Isabella Ferreira's portrayal of Pilar is a bit of a minor miracle, considering that nearly all of her storylines this season involve her reacting to phone screens and tablets, and Ferreira is further saddled with playing a younger bratty sister who's got a tendency to center herself when it comes to considering her family's hardships.
But most of all, bless my mother, Isabel. She needs your guidance the most, because she's nasty, and she knows it.
But even when the writing feels bumpy, Pilar feels genuine, and that's due to Isabella Ferreira's perpetually engaged, almost detective-like energy. Her gift as a performer is her ability to convince you of a scene's dramatic urgency. With every glint of her eye, you can see the cogs turning inside, giving even the static scenes she occupies an engaging forward propulsion. Detective Pilar lets her brother Watson in on the fun and shows him the untoward messages that have been landing in their mom's inbox.
Victor, Mom had an affair.
Creekwood's very own Starsky and Hutch jumped to this conclusion so brazenly that I must tip my hat to the writers for providing this clever and unusual misdirect. Typically, if fiction writers tell you to expect A, you already know to expect hidden choice B, or A with a twist.
There's always money in the banana stand!
Or a surprise combo of A and B.
Surprise, Sydney.
Very rarely do writers tell you to suspect A, and then the outcome turns out to be A. This misdirect in plain sight works almost too well. As Victor and Pilar work to uncover the truth, I was left cringing throughout the episode's entire midsection, almost angry at the brash, single-minded behavior of the siblings. I also thought this exchange was the dumbest joke of the whole season.
Who the hell is Isabel?
I have no idea.
It's that woman you're always on the phone with, isn't it?
We've been over this. That's Siri.
The certainty that Pilar and Victor must surely be mistaken about their mom also left me squirming through the episode's entire basketball portion in which Victor just can't. But I also think that uneasiness had to do with the fact that Michael Cimino didn't exactly score an acting slam dunk with this scene.
This is bullshit!
Look, he shows a ton of exceptional range, especially in the back half of the season, whether he's called upon to show Victor as vulnerable, self-assured, enraptured, hopeless, charming, or deadpan. but episode 4 is riddled with strange dialogue.
Sorry, we had good banter going. Did I kill it? I killed it.
And there was no way for Cimino to save this weird line.
Get your head out of your ass. I'm just off tonight, okay?
Overall, his contrived take on unbridled rage, during which he doesn't even seem to believe what he's saying and doing, is pretty much an airball. In any case, his self-ejection from the game brings the truth to light. Isabel indeed had an affair with Armando's boss's boss, who looks like the hippie dad from Family Ties finally sold his soul to the corporate maw of capitalist America. I appreciated how delicately the writers managed the aftermath of this reveal. And the actors portraying the Salazars, ironically, do their best work as an ensemble just as the family heads into their most fractured moments since moving into town. As Isabel conveys to her kids how the affair stemmed from her feeling neglected by Armando, not to mention the rest of the loved ones in her life, Ana Ortiz is heartbreaking as she expresses Isabel's struggle to share her vantage point, keep her family unified, and retain her matriarchal authority. Props also to James Martinez, who seems to have been inspired by the subplot to refine his portrayal of Armando. After spending the first handful of episodes as a stock TV dad, he does exceptional work here and through the rest of the season in framing Armando as someone stranded on a precipice between cherishing his marriage and family and not altogether flushing the resentment of the affair from his system. And give it up for Cimino and Ferreira, whose wounded indignation underscores the fact that their characters have been hit by not one, but 2 truth bombs, Isabel's indiscretions, and the fact that their parents concealed the true reason they were uprooted from their lives in Texas, a displacement that hit Pilar particularly hard. Pilar chooses, of course, to respond to the double reveal by acting out, but Victor chooses to diffuse and repress his reaction.
I don't think I'll ever want to talk about it.
Isabel's grateful for what she sees as a merciful reprieve from her son, but I can't imagine all this shoddy communication and willful deception permeating the Salazar household will spell fortune for Victor's immediate future. It was a mild surprise for me that this subplot was one of the reasons Disney Plus dropkicked this show over to Hulu. It's kind of a pity that the Disney brand has no problem killing parents off left and right, but God forbid they be seen as humans with desires and regrets of their own. I think a young audience can benefit from seeing parental figures portrayed as multifaceted as any of Disney's scrappy teen heroes, and I really appreciated how Armando and the writing team work with diligence to avoid vilifying Isabel, especially when fictional media often portrays infidelity, and yes, in particular infidelity perpetrated by women, as a dark black hole of sin from which no one is capable of ever returning. So I admire that the writers went there, and did so with thought and empathy for each member of the Salazar household. Speaking of troubled basketball stars who go to great lengths to learn the truth about someone they love, look who else rolled into town. Mekhi Phifer as Mia's jocular dad, Harold, shows up, and he and Rachel Hilson make the tip-off of this Mia-centric subplot an absolute delight. This initial scene between them is so filled with familiarity and joyful ease that took the Salazars 4 whole episodes to achieve. But not everything is hugs and designer handbags. Mia finds the idea of Harold settling down with a long-term partner much more threatening to her status quo than when he was off cavorting with the carefree influencer crowd. Since Rachel Hilson is an outright artisan when it comes to subtle acting choices, the writers make the smart move in dolling up this subplot with a hearty serving of droll comedy, found in everything that spills out of Lake's mouth.
Love this.
But also the core situation itself. I love that Mia's first meeting with Sophia Bush's Veronica is played for laughs without selling the character herself short.
Veronica runs the Global Women's Advancement Initiative.
Is that a jewelry line?
No, actually, it's a nonprofit that supports women through economic and social initiatives.
The soft-spoken career gal stands in a long line of comedic characters whose entire conceit is that they are perfect, annoyingly perfect, and that perfection can't help but grate on our central character who feels like the only one in the room who can see this newcomer's true colors. Honestly, something about this exchange in particular just made me die laughing on the floor.
Mia, come on, you're being a little rude.
It's okay, I've testified before Congress. This is nothing.
And by the way, when Mia deliberately pushes Harold and Veronica's buttons and the cordial dinner goes sour, I commend Rachel Hilson's acting choices here. As Harold reprimands her, she looks proud of this train wreck she's created and almost awestruck, like a kid who's been playing with matches and now can't help but look with barely contained glee at the living room curtains being set ablaze. And she punctuates the disaster dinner with this delicious barb.
I wish you would replace my mother, because then you wouldn't even be here.
That more than satisfied my appetite for drama with a capital D. Hilson's reactions throughout the episode reveal Mia's need for escape and control. Given her speech in episode 3 about wanting to build something that takes up so much space that it creates shadows, it appears she feels a lack of authorship in her own life, an especially cruel irony for a budding artist. This need to wrest control of her own narrative is why she might resort to spinning a tale about why her mom left the Brooks household,
My drunk mother who checked herself into rehab on my 12th birthday and never came back.
before ultimately revealing the truth.
She left. No explanation, no goodbye.
And I'm sure the irony is not lost on Mia that when she's describing her mother, she's describing herself.
My mom was this total free spirit artist. She was alone all day, trapped in this huge house.
Likewise, back in the Salazar's corner, Isabel's need to pursue fulfillment at the risk of deceiving the people she cares about might leak its way into Victor's conduct in the near future. It appears that Victor and Mia really are compatible as a couple in key ways. As the new kid in town who pays attention to the needs of his friends and family, Victor might seem to Mia like a breath of fresh air amidst her quietly percolating feelings of abandonment. Meanwhile, in light of Victor seeing the happy Sears family portrait facade of his parents crumble away, he might be more inclined to commit to Mia as a way of regaining some of that normalcy in his own romantic life. Mia and Victor's shared MO seems to be one of sidestepping the truth if they can help it, and that seems to be a foolhardy strategy, especially in the game of love.
And it's harder to manage the truth when everyone holding contradictory truths about you attend the same party. Join me for episode 5, Sweet 16, in which Victor's friends, family, and frenemy all gather to wish him a happy birthday, while multiple folks in the Creekwood gang try to have their cake and steal it too.
And let us know in the comments. In an episode light on queer-specific content, what was the gayest moment of this whole episode? Victor and Benji blasting a Shawn Mendes track through the coffee shop speakers?
I can't have you.
Felix's gratuitous worship of Oscar-winning royalty?
You're like the next Judi Dench.
Or the 150% obvious romantic tension between Victor and Andrew? Vote now.